have to become yourself.
Welcome to Creating a Buzz About Health podcast with Paula Carnell.
Hello, welcome to this episode of Creating a Buzz About Health with me, Paula Carnell. So I'm recording this live from the hive. So I'm in front of my observation hive, which is in the bee spa. So this is my healing space. And there were so many things I wanted to share with you, so many different topics and subjects. And this is my 209th episode. And I feel it's been a really intimate exchange where I've been sharing my journey and what's been going on. And I'm really grateful to those of you who've been listening to all these different episodes. And the last 3 episodes were interviews that I had with some lovely people that were studying with me in Romania on the apitherapy. And I thought, because I've been spending so much time in my Skool community and sharing on a daily basis what's going on in my life, I thought for those of you who are not in the community yet, I should give a bit of an update about what's actually going on, because you might be a little bit confused or just not know where I am. So I'm here in my bee spa. So this is in Somerset. I have this wonderful colony of bees who live in this room. So this is a converted bookcase, and there's a pipe, a clear plastic pipe that goes out through the wall so that the bees can then go out into the countryside, the wonderful countryside. So we've got this lovely view out the window. I have a couch in here so people can either come and lie down and receive a healing session with me and the bees, or they can lie or sit down and just be alone with the bees. And I'll open this door a moment, because then you might be able to hear. There we go. Now the smell is incredible. And I will just bring this in so you can watch as well. So this is an amazing swarm that my friend John gave to me, because there's been quite an adventure with bees in this spa. I'm also inside this beehive. I actually have one of the Pure Wave magnetic discs. So in a previous episode, you can listen to my interview with Brett about how this works. But this hive, this building, is actually on a nodal point. So it is very, very high vibration. And all of this was purely intuitional from when I built this building, when I moved to this house 23 years ago. And this building was built as my painting studio. So I used to paint in here. And when I got into bees, I then understood about energies and frequencies and dowsing. And so I knew that we had an energetic line that runs all the way along our property. But what I didn't know until I got to know John was about nodal points. And he actually helped me find nodal points here. And we've got 3 on this property. And how exciting that this beehive, we've moved it about a metre from the other side of the window to here, so it is bang on a nodal point. So the bees really love these nodal energy points, and we can see it already. This colony is really expanding. They're really happy, and what is interesting is they're defending themselves against wasps. Now, I have done episodes in the past about wasps, and the next episode will be more detail about wasps. But if you're in my Skool community, we've had some live meetups, and there I've spoken in more detail about wasps. But my general idea is with keeping bees is that you don't open hives once the wasps become active. And this year they became active like almost the beginning of July. So I have this rule that I don't open hives after midsummer, but I can be a bit flexible and normally go into the first week of July. But the moment I start seeing wasps around, that's it. I won't open a hive. So for a swarm to be moved in here during the wasp season, because the previous little swarm just couldn't cope. It was too big a space. And the colony that I had last winter, they got through to about March, but the queen wasn't laying. So there's been a journey with the bees in here, which I'm sharing in my Skool community. And then I've got another colony outside this window. Then I've got another colony in the corner of the garden. So it's been really exciting, and it's lovely to have 3 colonies here. But also with my work with understanding how bees expand, I also know that 3 colonies on my property, that's what I've had for many, many years. And we had a break when we went to Cocos for the year, and so my 3 colonies got moved a mile down the road, and then I brought them back. So for them to expand, it needs to be in alignment with the Fibonacci sequence. So the next number would be 5, and then it would be 8, and so on. And so I'm very mindful of that, about doing splits or about, you know, any kind of expansion has to be in alignment with these numbers. So again, you can listen to another episode about the Fibonacci sequence. So what I wanted to do today was just share where I'm at, what it is that's going on in my life, what are my focuses. And also it's a kind of review that we're halfway through the year. And many people, and maybe myself included, are feeling that it is racing. We know it's the year of the horse, the fire horse, so it is meant to be racing, galloping through, and it certainly feels like that. And not just in my personal life and my business, but also in the world around us. And I'm sure many of us can feel that things are rapidly changing, really happening fast. And it can be a little bit unnerving because you could hold on tight because you just don't know. It feels like the horse is bolted and it's like, where is it going to go? So with me, what my focus is very much on the bee spa. So from a day-to-day basis, I'm based here in Somerset, and I have healing sessions with my clients. And that is what I love doing. And I love sharing what these bees can do. So just being within 2 meters of the presence of a beehive, we actually know it stabilizes your nervous system. Then when you add to that the sound of the bees, they're quite quiet because it's quite early this morning. So it's not so loud. But once they all start using the tube, it echoes around the room. Plus you can watch them, you can see them coming and going. So that act of watching the bees and hearing the sound is also absolutely instrumental in enabling our bodies to match. We have this entrainment that goes on. So the frequency of the bees is 256 hertz, which is the emotion of being present. And so when you're in the presence of a hive, the longer you're with them, your body also entrains. So it raises your frequency and vibration to that of presence. And humans are normally in the sort of 70 to 100 hertz. So to be raised to the frequency to match the bees, to have this entrainment of 256 hertz, it actually puts you in this state of presence. And when you're in a state of presence, your body is able to heal itself. So it's really, really important. And it ties in with meditation and mindfulness and all these other practices about being present, not thinking about the past, not thinking about the future, but actually being present. So we have this entrainment that goes on in here. And I also work with sound. So, some treatments I use tuning forks. Sometimes I use little chimes or my Tibetan bowl. So there's all kinds of things. And I actually have an amazing rattle that I bought many years ago in Peru. So, there's this kind of entrainment and about being present, but also clearing so that you come into this peaceful space and you leave more peaceful. And the longer that you spend with bees, the longer that your inner peace lasts, so that you can carry this sort of peace of presence within you, so that when you are out in the real world and it feels like you're on a galloping horse, you can actually hold steady. You can hold steady because you have this inner peace. So I'm realizing that my work outside of here is continuing with this understanding of holding an inner peace. So traveling to Romania by train, going to Cocos earlier on in the year, and having my solar retreat on the island, it's very much about holding an inner peace and then being able to use that that idea of entrainment around you, so that by me holding my inner peace, that resonates out and enables anything and anyone around me to also hold inner peace. So whether it's humans, whether it's animals, whether it's trees, flowers, water, it all entrains. And this is the power of being human, is we have this ability to move, whereas the trees can't move, the flowers can't move. And the bees, I mean, they can move, but they're restricted to 5 miles, 3 to 5 miles of their area. So as humans, we can move, and so we can have an impact wherever we go. So here we are in the middle of the year. So already I've returned to Cocos, took samples of the bees, but they never got to Russia. So we're still on this adventure of trying to research the bees there. So that work is continuing. My book, Spiritual Beekeeping, has been selling all around the world, and only last week it finally got released as an audiobook. So I recorded myself reading the book in February, but it's taken this long to actually get it out. So if you go to Apple Books or Kobo, you can now get the book as audio and listen to me. So it's about 9.5 hours. But if you rather listen to a book rather than sitting and reading, it is quite a big book. So I think it's an ideal book to have as an audio book out of all my books, because it's not such a quick read. So that has been released. And then the community on Skool. This has been a major change in my life, and a real source of inspiration and connection for me. So I've had membership, but it hasn't had a home, it hasn't had a place. And what's so exciting about the Skool platform is I set up Spiritual Beekeeping last October. We've now got about 328 members, and there's such a variety of people in there. So I've got beekeepers, I've got apitherapists, we've got honey sommeliers, we've got people that just love bees, we've got people that are learning to keep bees, we've got really expert beekeepers. So there's such a mixture, and people from all around the world who've been drawn to understand more about spiritual beekeeping, or even to contribute what they understand about spirituality or beekeeping, or even both. So this has been such an exciting development for me, and it's a place that I can pop into every day, have great conversations. We have a live meetup every Wednesday, and anyone can join. And then within the different tiers, we have other meetups. And so it's just been so exciting. And my live workshops here have been consisting of people that I've met on Skool, people that have joined that community. So it's making the community even stronger, and helping me have a place and somewhere to share what I'm learning, and to also continue learning. So it's expanding. And what was really interesting is that the end of last year, where my word of the year was received, I received the gift of my word for this year. And 2026, my word was expand. And what has been happening is I have been expanding in my own understanding of my life purpose, but also with my healing practice and healing learning. But also my community is expanding. And so now it's no longer free. So to get in, it's actually $5 a month, because there is so much in there. And I really felt that I'm worth, it is worth $5 a month, which is £3.50. I love hot chocolate. It's less than a cup of hot chocolate in many places, just each month, to have access to this community, to the recordings, to the live meetups, to the live meditations, and then the courses. So there's this wonderful course that members have been working through, which follows my Spiritual Beekeeping workbook, which was another release this year. So the workbook is the practical aspects of spiritual beekeeping. It's actually a book that takes you through from the thought or the idea or the dream of having bees or working with bees, and then working through your sacred contracts, your placements, your hives, and then even with record keeping on how to keep a note of all of your hives or your colonies, whether they're wild and you're just observing them, or you have them in hives. So the workbook came out. So I did a challenge which actually helps people work through these exercises. So that's all within the community. So, if you want to know more, if you've been listening to this podcast and thinking, how do I actually access Paula? Well, it's Skool. Go to Spiritual Beekeeping, and then you can actually join my community. So you can join at $5 and have the basic introduction, the access to all the posts and the community. Or you can join as a premium at $15 a month, and then you have access to the Spiritual Beekeeping course, where we have live meetups and we develop, and you also have access to other beekeeping training and my Romanian journal, the Cocos journal, so all that extra information. So real insider information about what I'm doing in my work and my life. And then I have a handful of VIPs or VIBs, and there they receive a copy of the book. They also get honey, they get special perks, which are, held for these very, very special people. And that's $246 a year. So it means a year's commitment, but you're in there with me and we're working through this together. So it's really exciting that that people are coming in and finding their place and contributing and learning from each other and making new friendships together. And some of the people who've joined Skool have now gone on and set up their own communities. And this is the wonderful thing about Skool. It is an expansive platform. It's not an either or. It's a let's all join. And there's Nathaniel, who I met on Skool, has his community called Light Heart Vision. And I'm working with him and this great collection of other community builders where we are expanding and helping people around the world to build their businesses, to help them navigate this time. And we each have different skills that we contribute to that community. So it's all so expansive. So here we are in the middle, and I feel like, it's the peak of the year. We have the wasps coming in and challenging us. So we have this wonderful abundant spring, and then suddenly we have the wasps trying to take everything from us. But are they? And what are they a reflection of? So again, as everything has been expanding, I've had a good few years where I haven't had to worry too much about wasps. And then suddenly this year, they have been challenging me. And what they have been showing is the shadow side. So when you expand, what gets left behind, what's hidden, what are the things that you still need to work on? And what I really needed to work on, which was a big sign from the wasp, was my bee equipment shed, which had some frames that still had wax comb in that were storing for when my other colonies expand. So I've got my colonies out apiaries, and in the spring when I'd been harvesting honey, and when I had a colony that had died out, I'd actually put some frames which had a bit of honey in, which were not right for harvesting. And so I'd stored them in a box, which I thought was sealed in my shed. But what had happened was there was a gap in my shed in one of the windows. And so the wasps got in. And so my shed I thought I actually had a wasp nest in my shed. It was so full of wasps. So that meant that this last week I had to take everything out of the shed. I was able to take any wax and then melt it down in my best beekeeping gadget ever, which is a solar wax melter. So I've had a good sort out, and maybe that's the thing with wasps. Wasps are here to clean up the rubbish. They're the rubbish collectors of nature. And so if you've got anything that is sat around that needs sorting, that needs clearing, the wasps will show it to you. And so the wasps did show it to me. So we had wasps all over the place, and now they've gone, they've moved on. So that's another exercise. And I will talk, I think the next episode, I'll do more detail about wasps. So what's happening next? So here we are in July. We're coming towards the end of July, and I have a lovely peaceful summer. I've been dancing with the Morris dancers, so we've been doing quite a few dance outs. So that's my social fun bit of summer. And September is looking to be busy again. So in September, we've been invited to a wedding in Greece. So it's the first time I've ever been to Greece. So I'm really excited about that because that is the home of honey and bees. I don't think I'm going to be able to go to, all the wonderful bee temples and go to different islands. We will just be based around Athens. However, it's a start, and I am sure I'm going to be able to taste some great honey there. And then I'm going from there to Turkey on a Tantrika bee shaman retreat. So this is really exciting. This is going to be more deep healing work for myself and more training for me to understand how I can help other people. So I have that. Then I'm going to have a short time back here in England, and then I'm going to go back to America. So I've been planning all year for a trip to America. It was going to be a bit earlier on, but then Romania came up. So I'm going to America to the Natural Beekeeping Trust. They hold a Learning from the Bees conference, and that's going to be in Floyd County, Virginia at the end of September. So I'm actually going there. So that'll be exciting. But following people that I've met on Skool and in Romania, I'm then going on tour, plus helping support Appy My Hives, who sponsored the beehives that we had on Cocos Keeling. So these are the plastic, really well insulated hives, which I know sound crazy that I'm such a fan of these hives, but they really are good and the bees love them. So they are launching in America, and they're including my workbook with people that buy the hives. So I'll be doing a bit of promotion with them and meeting people who've either read my books or want to read the books or want to hear about my take on beekeeping. So I'm going to America. So how cool is that? And then we have October, November, December, and I can't think off the top of my head because I'm just so excited about what's happening over the next couple of months. But everything I do, I share on Skool. And if it's a big adventure like America, it'll be within a whole course structure. So it'll be like a private journal that my premium and VIBs will be able to access. And then the normal community will be able to access me on a day-to-day basis and anything that I post. So this year is racing ahead, but what's been nice is I've had these times of pause. And so July and August have been my time for pause, and we've been able to do some DIY and decorating with the house, and I've been able to clear out my shed. So there's these things that have happened. But what's nice is I have written Spiritual Beekeeping. That was last year. It came out last year. The workbook came out this year, and that I am so proud of because it really is, it's a practical handbook. So all my books you can now get from books.buy, which is books and then buy, BY / Paula -Carnell. So the link is in the show notes. So if you're wanting to know more about me, thank you very much for listening to the podcast, but go along to the Skool community because there you're going to get to know even more, and you can help contribute and tell me what you want me to talk about in the podcast. So then I have a last favour for you before I go today. I'd love it if you could write a review. If you've been listening to this, it really helps other people find my podcast if I have recent reviews. So wherever you listen to it, give it some stars, write a review. And actually, if you take a snapshot that you've done that, then I will send you a little treat. And also the same goes, if you buy my audiobook, send me a snapshot of your receipt, send me a proof of where you've got it from. And again, I will send you a little treat. So I've got something up my sleeves for people that are supporting me. So thank you so much. And for all of you who are members, who have bought my books, who are reading my books, who are, coming to the market and seeing me and buying honey, all these things, they really help me to do what I feel is the work that needs to be done, which is following the bees, following my calling, sharing what I'm learning from the bees. And through the bee spa, that is really resonating out as more and more people are feeling the benefits of the bees, but without having to have their own hive. So thank you very much for listening. And if you want to book into the bee spa, then just go to my website, paulacarnell.com, or come and see me in Skool, where you can private chat with me or you can chat in the community. So that's where I'm at halfway through the year. But do let me know, where are you? What are you up to? Comment. I'm actually going to share this one as a video as well on YouTube. So yeah, let's have this communication going. Just tell me what you're up to. How has the year of the horse been for you? Do you feel you've been dragged by the horse, or are you riding it and galloping into the future? So thank you very much for listening, and until next time, let's all keep creating a buzz about health. Bye for now.
You have to become yourself.
Join us next time on Creating a Buzz About Health podcast with Paula Carnell. Buzz you later.